The third and final reunion of the cast of The Valley aired on Bravo this past Tuesday. It was hosted by one Andy Cohen. And, we touched on this. We knew we were going to go in depth, but we talked about how morally and ethically reprehensible, I don't know how this is legal. I'm sure it is. I mean, they've got lawyers out the wazoo over there, to have a self-confessed domestic abuser on that set. By the way, seated to Andy's left-hand side, so that's a pride of place. Right-hand side was Jax's estranged, soon-to-be ex-wife, hopefully, Brittany, who recounted no shortage of horrors visited upon her while their small child was in the home, I believe. And so that first episode aired, and do you know what they put a phone number up for in case one viewer or more were triggered by the discussion? It was for substance abuse, because they were trying, in my opinion, to ameliorate these savage, disgusting incidents of domestic violence by saying, well, the guy has a self-confessed drug and alcohol problem. So, and I was like, livid when I saw that, because first of all, again, I don't know why a domestic abuser is allowed on that stage. But secondly, throw up a number for anybody who may be watching and is like, hey, I'm a domestic abuse victim and I need help getting out. And don't look to the Valley or any of the cover-ups they're trying to perpetrate on these reunions. They're sending a very, very, very dangerous message, and they're minimizing it and they're normalizing it. Okay. And this is why the nerve exists. Exhibit 55. You're not going to see any entertainment show on the networks, any syndicated like Access or Entertainment Tonight. You're not going to see it in the pages of Us Weekly or People Magazine while you're waiting at the doctor's office. It's not happening. Okay. So we're going to begin with Jax threatening Brittany on camera at the reunion. And then we're going to go a bit into the Bravo archives and see how we got here. Okay. Take a look at this.
I'm already shaking.
You should.
So Brittany says at the beginning of the reunion, I'm already shaking. And Jax looks across from her with zero emotion and says, you should be shaking. And right there, if I'm Andy Cohen, I'm saying, you know what? Get security and escort this guy out. I mean, he never would have been on the stage in the first place. But at that moment, that guy is telling you exactly who he is. But, Andy Cohen, who long ago sold his soul to Satan, downplays it. So let's take a look at the verbiage he chooses.
I want to start at the beginning and talk about what led up to that. So, Brittany, just days before filming started this season, you and Jax were separated, but talking about getting back together. Then you had a fight at your house that changed everything.
Okay. Andy says you had a fight. No, the guy threw furniture around the house and then threw her into a rose bush. That's not a fight, Andy. That is an assault. That is a violent assault. Here, Brittany, because Andy doesn't want to get it, because he just wants to keep his ratings baby going. This is one of the few new reality series that Bravo has launched that is an unqualified hit, and that says a lot about the culture. Andy needs to keep this train going. But here Brittany details what Jax did.
He was extremely aggressive.
Yes.
He threw the coffee table. It landed on my knee. It turned black immediately. He threw both bar stools. He threw my Stanley cup and broke it. He threw my phone and broke it. He threw my laptop and broke it. He threw me into the rose bushes.
I didn't throw you
yes,
into the
you
rose
did.
bushes.
It's on my ring camera doorbell.
I never threw you in the rose
Yes, you
bushes.
did.
No, I
yes,
didn't.
you did. Everybody,
Yes.
my close friends up here has seen the videos.
Okay. She's saying he's denying the rose bush thing. He's admitting to everything else. The entire cast is nodding their heads, excuse me, yes. And they've clearly seen the ring cam footage that Brittany is citing right there. And if you want to tell me that production knew nothing about this and that they, my opinion, hadn't been privy to that Ring camera footage and they decided to continue with this guy on the cast because it was great TV, it was great fucking drama. There's a small child in that house. Now, there is precedent for this. There is precedent. I remember watching this in real time as it aired, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And as stated with you guys, I consume a lot of media. So to be shocked is something's really, really wrong. Now, there was a season on Below Deck. And again, if you are going to tell me that these producers, these production companies don't screen for people who maybe have had trouble with the law, who maybe have some assaults or some violence in their past, who are unhinged, who have no emotional regulation, who might be psychopathic. I'm not saying the people I'm about to show you are. I'm just saying, and you're putting them on a vessel out in open waters where there's no place to run for safety. Okay, you're trapped on a boat. Now, what they don't tell you on Below Deck is that there is a tandem boat that holds the entire crew that's filming the goings on. Below Deck is a show about luxury yachting and the people who come on and the kids who serve them. On this episode, there is a young Stu named Margot, a young, beautiful Stu, and this other guy, Luke, I think he was a bosun, had been after her the whole time. They were out, they were blowing off steam, the whole crew, everybody got wasted. They come back to the boat. Margot says to one of her friends, I just want water in bed. I don't want Luke. Okay, I'm just going to elocute that again. Water and bed. No Luke. Now, in the middle of the night, there's a power outage on the boat, and watch what Luke, where he goes, and always keep in mind, there's a camera crew on him at all times. Let's go. If you're watching, he's got a smirk on his face, and he's opening the door to her cabin. She's passed out with her back to the door. He's naked. Production saying no, and he looked at them and got in bed with her.
Thank you very much. We got to sit down. Thank you very much.
Here's a producer trying to cajole him out of bed.
Am I good? You okay?
Yeah, sleepy time.
He's still in bed with her. Rip this guy out of the bed.
Luke.
And we're patting him. Luke, would you please? Luke rouses himself. Girl's passed out. Disappears.
For a second.
Says fuck off for a second and slams the door on the crew. They open the door, he slams it shut again. Open, he slams it shut again.
We can't do it.
We can't do that.
She's sitting there.
Finally, he stumbles out. That could have been so much worse. But you know what really shocked me was just the sycophancy of the crew, as if they're dealing with like major talent. And it's like, Luke, you got to get out. You got to get out. There should be a security guard who is ex-Mossad on that set at all times. And if something like that happens, that asshole, that predator, my opinion, gets ripped out of the bed and knocked around a little bit before he's thrown off the boat in the middle of the night. Okay, but no. So we're going to move on. Same crew, same season. There's a female predator, my opinion, on that boat as well. Her name is Laura. And she was all over, I believe it was another bosun named Adam. And Adam, if you think that this can't happen in reverse, that men cannot be the objects of sexual harassment and abuse, well, this is exhibit A to disabuse anybody of that notion, because she spends the entire season climbing all over him and touching him and fawning him and he's like, get away from me, get off. And he's trying to laugh it off and not embarrass her or make it more of a big deal, when really he should just be like, stop touching me. This is sexual harassment. Okay. So one night he gets wasted too. You know, these are young kids. They're partying. Like you gotta just, Is it the greatest idea to get blackout drunk? No, but here we are. There are no perfect victims, okay? Adam is in bed face down, and Laura climbs into bed with him. Watch this.
Laura was also fired after attempting to romantically pursue deckhand Adam Kodra. She followed him into his room and ignored him asking her to not get into his bed. Producers had to tell her.
She's rubbing his back. He's blacked out. And then the crew says, you got to get down. And she goes, okay, I'm coming. And she continues to caress his back and kiss him. And they say, you got to get down. And she goes, yeah, in a minute, I'm coming down. And she continues to do it. It goes on like that for like a minute. Again, where's ex-Mossad to tear this girl off of this guy and also punt her off the boat? Now, again, if you want to think, they tried to give everybody involved like a hero edit for doing the right thing. Captain Jason, what a swashbuckling pirate of a hero he was. He kicked that guy off the boat. Well, is this cast member who was thrown off like still allowed to find a way to have communication with this girl? Take a look.
I get this text from Luke.
The next thing I know, the producers are like slamming on your door like, no. And apparently he'd gone into your bed naked when you were passed out.
Unfortunately, I've got nothing else but
This is where we're hearing the firing.
Hey, Margot, please excuse my silence during this time as respecting your boundaries. If you are willing, I would like to give you a call when you are free and let you hear my words, please. Kindest regards.
The death stare that Margot throws the producers and the camera is for the ages. And again, how somebody who looked like he was getting ready to perpetrate a rape is allowed to have any contact with that young woman or anyone on the boat is beyond me. But you know what? It's not really, because this is Andy Cohen's network. And before anybody wants to say, listen, Andy's just the mascot. Andy doesn't market himself that way. He markets himself as like executive producer of a lot of these shows and like head bitch in charge. And like he runs the reunions and he sits there and he, and that moved the story along. That little text, traumatic though it may have been to this girl who was listening to the chief Stu recount to her what happened that night while she was blacked out. And you could see the look of horror on her face that she almost got raped. Storyline's a storyline, I guess. Now we're going to wind back to season 1 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you want to see how the darkness is not just encouraged, but is cultivated. This is a fight. And when we get to our Hilton episode, we're going to have to maybe portion it out. Kim Richards, former child star, has struggled with drugs and alcohol all of her life. I'm going to guess that Kim was violated as a child. Okay. And I think that would explain why she cannot heal herself and be sober for any real sustained period of time as far as we know. Now, in the confessional to this fight, Kim says, as a child, I supported the entire family. I paid the mortgage. I bought the cars. I put can you imagine you're 11 years old and that's on your shoulder and that mother was a nightmare. Okay, you want to talk a difficult mother. Now, Kyle, the sister who's always been the runt of the litter, who finally got her spotlight and her flowers. She's the star of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She damn well knows her sister is struggling with alcohol and probably drugs and got her to come on this show anyway, okay? And then is going to act like she was pushed to the limit and oops, a secret comes out. Watch this.
And Mom had to die worrying about you and stressing about you and leave this on my shoulders. After everything that I have done for you, everything I've done for you, I'm always there for you.
Everything you've done for me?
Yeah, everything I've done for you.
You stole my goddamn house!
Listen. Did you hear what you just said, Kim? Oh, are you out of your f***ing mind? You are so sick. Did you hear what you just said? My husband has helped you.
That reaction tells me Kim's telling the truth.
By you and taking care of you, okay? Like you're a second f***ing wife. So you for talking like that.
You're a liar.
You better f***ing take that back right now. You better.
Now Kyle goes in physically on Kim.
And second, an alcoholic. Stop. Okay? You are an alcoholic. Yes, that's right. That's right. I've said it now. Everybody knows. So get the hell out of
Oh my God. Okay, you can stop it right there. You can stop it right there. Kyle got what she wanted. She humiliated her sister. She said, you're a liar, you're sick, and you're an alcoholic. And you could see Kim's face freeze. Now, what did that get Kyle? Another season and another and another. And now she's head bitch in charge over there, having run off everybody else who's potentially a threat to her. Okay. Real Housewives of Orange County. Again, I watched this in real time and could not believe what I was seeing. And if you want to draw a direct line to Jax Taylor throwing his wife in a rose bush, which presumably has many thorns, and breaking all manner of stuff in the house and spying on her via ring cam. And the guy's escalating and escalating. This is what happens. They escalate. You know what happens, Andy? Usually the woman winds up dead. Okay? But there was a season of Real Housewives where one of them named Gretchen was clearly threatened, just my opinion, by a younger, prettier housewife named Gretchen. And so Tamara was the housewife who was threatened. She decided to throw a dinner party, and the plan was to get Gretchen, quote unquote, naked, wasted. Okay, I have never heard this phrase before. And it's so juvenile and dirty and gross and crude, and it's just what it sounds like. She wanted to get this woman, who, by the way, who was engaged to a man who was dying of cancer, so drunk, so blackout drunk, that her creepy son, Ryan, who's about 20 years Gretchen's junior, could have sex with her. And she presumably would be in no condition to resist. Okay? Let's take a look at this clip.
We were in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden I turned around, and Ryan and Gretchen were gone.
Camera.
I have no idea where they went.
Uh-huh.
Where are you?
Yeah, they're upstairs.
I gotta get a hug first.
Gretchen's going into the bathroom.
You can't kiss me, and you can't make out with me. Why? Because I'm engaged to a very nice.
Hey.
Listen to how drunk she is, and they're those two are behind a closed bathroom door.
You're cute, and I like you.
The camera's on them, on the door.
Cuz. No, I like you a lot. You gotta go out there, though. I like you. You're really cute. You totally turn me on, but you gotta go out there.
She's trying to get him out of there.
I know. You can't go. You can't come in here because you totally turn me on, and you guys stand there. Out there.
Are you sure?
You totally are a cute guy.
Oh, yeah? How
You totally
cute.
turn me on, but
He's not
I
leaving.
can't make out with you because you're Tamara's younger son.
How about just one peck?
No.
That's nice.
Look at this.
Nice guy.
You know, again, production should have knocked down that door and said, get out of there. This woman's blackout drunk. She said no 8 million times. And he's always trying to find a way in. Can I just get a peck? Can I just get this? Can I just get that? All right, you want to know who knows? Oh, by the way, you know who's still on that show? Tamara. And Gretchen came back too. It is a sickness. It is a sickness. You know, I used to really enjoy these shows. I really did. And now I can't. They are so dark. They are so dark. And you see just the depths to which these people will go to keep a TV camera on them. Now, Bethany Frankel, complicated figure in the culture. Tell me, I'm thinking about a mini on her, but you guys tell me, okay? Or if maybe we should just do it on the regular nerve. But Bethany took to social media to talk about a former housewife of New Jersey named Caroline Manzo, who decided to come back and go on a one-off special that Bravo's trying to establish these as another franchise called the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. And I believe what happened to Caroline may have killed that franchise dead. And this is how you know Bravo is feeling the boot on the neck. Watch and listen to Bethany.
Wanted back in on some level.
Caroline, she's talking about.
Good money for a week's work. And she had a quote years ago, something like, I can never get it right, but I love it. If you hang out with something like if you hang out by a dumpster, you're gonna smell like trash. That's her line. So she walked into a dumpster fire. Why? Because these are fired housewives. The most desperate of all housewives. Because they want to rate. They want to either get invited back or know that they did well or know that they could come back at some point. Like, that's why some of those trips are so crazy, because it's a bunch of fired housewives. You can get to do anything. You got fired. Go kill someone. Go set someone's house on fire. There's nothing more desperate than a housewife except a fired housewife.
So what happened here is that Caroline Manzo alleged that another former housewife named Brandy Glanville sexually assaulted her. And this claim must have been caught on camera or on audio, because they never aired any of that. That thing, it's been placed in a vault if it hasn't already been burned. No one will ever see that. It must have happened. And, again, the wolves are at the door, Andrew Cohen. Now, let's hear Bethany on what really goes on behind the scenes over there at Bravo.
So Caroline Manzo walked into the land of bad behavior and experienced bad behavior. But we've all seen crazy things. Like, all of us who've been on these ships have seen crazy things. Some of us have almost died. Many of us have experienced and witnessed substance abuse, sexual assault. Like, there's crazy stuff that we all do keep under the hood that nobody's heard about.
Well, I think more people are going to talk about it. And by the way, in one of the tabloids this week, one of the headlines is Denise divorce rattles Bravo. We talked about Denise Richards and her claims against her husband, Aaron, that he physically abused her. Here it is. Here's the picture of Denise, the before and after, and that Bravo is shaking in their boots because if they caught anything on camera, which I believe they did. We showed it. We showed Aaron on camera telling Denise to shut the fuck up or he was going to crush her hand. Did production do anything? Did Bravo execs step in? No, it's great. It's great drama. Okay, so let's go back to the Valley and Jack talking about his raging cocaine habit that dated back to his early days on Vanderpump Rules, and Andy looking really bored as if we have to get this bit of housekeeping done and dusted so that we can blame Jax abusing his wife in a home where a 4-year-old lives on drugs and alcohol. Take a look.
When you were on Vanderpump Rules, there was always speculation from the viewers.
My eyes were bulging out of my head.
Yeah.
Great memes, though.
So you were doing coke and filming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people who watched Vanderpump Rules over the years could kind of tell that I was on something. Obviously production and people, they didn't know what I was doing. Everything I was doing is on my own.
Okay, so Jax has to say that to keep his job. Obviously, production didn't know what I was doing. Now, if you watch these shows, you know who runs these shows, the camera people and the editors. They are people who don't miss a trick. They laser in on micro expressions, on passive aggressive body language. They catch everything. You're telling me this sophisticated crew of people, just my opinion, didn't know this guy was a raging cocaine addict and that the cocaine only fueled his rages? At one point in this reunion, Brittany says, yeah, we would go out to dinner and Jax would get up from the table every 10 minutes. Perhaps Andy knows a little bit about drugs and alcohol on his end. I mean, I've heard things, but I'm not accusing him of anything, but I'm just saying like attracts like. Now here's Jax excusing his abusive need for control and trying to control his situation on the show with said excuse. Let's look.
Obviously, I still have some problems that I need to figure out, and I'm still angry. And if I feel like I don't have the control, I lose it, because control to me is a very big thing. Rage texting and looking on the cameras, that's a form of control for me.
Do you know how creepy it is that you were watching on the cameras?
Tell me what I was wearing.
So weird.
It's a control thing. I keep using this word control. I feel like that's all I have left.
You know what's even creepier, Andy? You sitting there knowing all about this and doing fuck all to stop it. You fuck. Now, Andy backs Jax. He does this every reunion with Jax. Everybody's done this. Every reunion with Jax. This guy's been on Bravo for like 15 years. He's going to say that Jax is finally taking accountability. more than he ever has before, even though every year he goes, yeah, I'm a work in progress. I'm trying. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. You got to give me credit. I'm trying. And Brittany says, this is a performance. Brittany, she's not the brightest, but she knows the word performative. It's in the lexicon now. And then Jax starts getting angry at that. Okay, so let's take a look at this.
In his own way, through many reunions where I've sat here with him where he's been confronted by horrible behavior, he has taken more accountability today than I've heard him take.
Yeah, I'm scared it's performative. And I hope it's not performative. I hope that he is very sorry.
I'm so tired.
But I don't trust that in 2 days he's going to be rage texting me and screaming at me again.
She used the word scared. She didn't say, I think it's performative. She said, I'm scared. It's performative. If something happens to Brittany or his son at the hands of Jax Taylor, I hope Andy Cohen and Bravo get sued. I hope they get sued for everything, and I hope they shut it all down. And to watch the other cast members sit there and numbly like nod their heads, like these are excuses worth anything. You know, it just, again, it goes to show you like how desensitized everybody has become. Have I secured my position for a season 3? Now, making the rounds on social media, this is very interesting. This post went up a few weeks ago. I believe it went up on Instagram on August 1, and it's still there, which says to me that Bravo can't sue this woman, or hasn't even tried. On her Instagram bio, she says she's a mother of 3. So, you know, I think she's got to be pretty buttoned up in these assertions. She was on Project Runway. Listen to her talk about what goes on behind the scenes. And Andy Cohen, again, who has really, he's not a talent on that show. He doesn't appear, but he's apparently very involved. Let's take a look.
Do you guys really think Harvey Weinstein was the worst one on set? Andy Cohen was. He's disgusting. Horrible. Worse. Predator with the gays. Hopping around on set. Hey, twins. Propositioning designers to have a threesome in exchange for their own show. I worked for Harvey, but actually no one wanted your ass. Come into my office. I want to talk to you. We called you the gay Weinstein.
The gay Weinstein. And Kenley says there he was worse than Harvey, who was an executive producer on that show. And again, if you want to say that Andy didn't know what Harvey was up to and Harvey didn't know what Andy is allegedly up to, you know, they've successfully batted away Bravo and Andy a few lawsuits, I believe, but I don't think you can keep the wolves from the door forever. I don't think you can. And there's a lot of collateral damage. So, you know, we're just going to keep our eyes on this. But, you know, when you see this stuff, and again, the Andy Cohens and the NBC Universals of the world, which own Bravo, are trying to sand those edges down and just say, well, it's a drug problem, or, you know, he's not that bad, or it's none of those things. It isn't just a drug problem. It is that bad. That guy is a monster, and he's violent, and he's clearly escalating. And his wife is on that stage, and she says, I'm scared. And Andy turns to Jax and hands him a tissue because he's crying. Get out! What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments and finally get a little breathing room? American Financing makes this possible. If you are feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you are not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards and finding it difficult to get their way out of debt. But American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay that off. You can contact American Financing today before you get to a point where you cannot make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That is like a $10,000 a year raise. It is fast, it is simple, and it could save your budget. Call now before it is too late. 866-885-1332. That's 866-885-1332, or visit americanfinancing.net/nerve.